Hey everybody. So video textures are possible now in Nowhere, and you can use them just by mapping them as if you'd map any other texture in Blender. And the only difference is you have to drag in a node for the MP4. I have it set up already right here, but what I did was I went into my folder here and I grabbed my video texture and I drag it into here. And as you can see, a node pops up, and we don't need this one because I already have this here. But what you're going to do is then connect that color to your principled BSDF shader. You're then going to adjust the amount of frames in your video. So we have a 30 FPS video at 5 seconds, so it's 150 frames. And you're going to be able to export. Now, I built a little sphere and nav mesh inside of this teacup. And as you can see, there's a half sphere with a floor that has the video texture mapped to it. So we were able to go, or we'll go over to the UV editing tab. And as you can see, there's my UV mapping for our sphere, which is right inside of here. And I can check out our UV mapping for the floor, which is right there. So just like you'd map any other texture, I tiled this video texture, and it's a simple UV map video texture on your mesh inside of Blender. Now, we can export this scene by clicking the Export GLTF button. We'll go back to our Layout tab first. And just to show you guys, I put a teleporter going inside of there when you click the top of the teapot. I will also go ahead and add another teleporter so we can get out of there. Do that really quickly. I'll add a teleporter right here. And we can go ahead and take this teleporter and move it down a little bit. And just so we can see it inside of here, put it right in the center of the ceiling. You click up the center of the ceiling to get out. Eventually we'll add a sign in there to make sure it's pretty apparent, but for now it'll be a little Easter egg. And then we gotta take the destination, teleport destination 6, and we'll put that maybe back down here. So there, we're all set. So let's go ahead and save and export our GLTF file. Now, after we export this file, all we're going to have to do is make sure we include the actual MP4 file in the export folder. Blender will create a PNG file as a placeholder, but it won't export the MP4. We have to actually include that MP4 in the export folder for this to work. So if I just take this MP4 and I copy it, go into our export folder, paste it in here. It is pretty big. It's 6.83 megabytes, but we can try to compress that soon as well. And as you can see, here's the PNG placeholder that it creates, but we do need to have this in the file for it to work. We handle the playing of the video textures on the Babylon.js side, not through a GLTF. So I'm going to go ahead and take these export files, and I am going to go ahead and put them into my world export file so I can view it on my local host machine. Delete that out of there. Paste in the new ones. And make sure we have the most recent export. And we can go to our local host once this is done pasting. And let's climb to the top of the teapot. And click here. And as you can see, our video texture is playing, and we have this cool pattern going on. The floor is a little shiny. I can turn down the some of the reflections inside of Blender over here. So if I just go back and go to my floor, could actually be using the same material. It is. So I can play around with that, but I think it looks pretty cool. And that's the basics of how you use video textures. I just want to make sure they're not too big of a file size, but it's just as simple as using a normal texture. You just got to make sure you include that video texture inside your export folder.